Good morning, everybody. My name is Elliot, and I am the Marketing Manager here at Hand Business Solutions. I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for attending today. What we are going to talk about is data classification that works with Watchful software. I'm going to do a quick introduction into Hand, just explaining what we do and some of the products and services we do offer before handing you over to Justine Cross from Watchful. Here's the contents of what I'm going to briefly run through, just a few key facts about us, some of our customers, the global reach we target, the journey of your data, and then some further products and services. First of all, just some of the key facts about Hand. We've been around since 2006 and we are 100% privately owned. Everything we do here is based around data-centric solutions and services. At the very bottom of the screen, you will see our strapline, which reads, "Securing the journey of your data." And this is really why Hand have become so successful in the last couple of years. I will be explaining that a little later on. As you saw in the contents, we have a slide on this section. We have over 500 customers across the world, and some of these are the biggest brands across the world. We have offices based in the UK, Singapore and Malaysia. Hand have achieved the highest level of accreditation as a Watchful software partner, and we provide services and support across the UK and Europe for them. Watchful software itself focuses on data-centric information protection that works, and that will be going into a little bit more depth when I hand over to Justine later on. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have broken the solutions down into 4 key sections. The first one is identifying your data, and this is where Watchful will come in. This is where you need to be able to understand your data and to make sure that it is classified, and if so, correctly. We have exchanging the data. This is the managed file transfer side of things, secure emails and data automation. We then have securing your data. This is large DLP and encrypting your data and making sure it is secure. Finally, we have the data view. This is the business intelligence. It's not just understanding if your data is actually secure, but if it is working correctly and who actually has access to it, the visibility of your data. Okay, here is some of the customers we do have. I'm not going to spend too long on these. I'm just going to quickly sort of run through, but as you can see, we deal with some of the largest businesses around the world and in several different industries. We have the financial sector, we deal with telcos, the public sector. Okay. This is a slide just to go into the global reach where we target. We are always aiming to push on and do business in other countries. As you can see, the areas that are highlighted in red are the countries we do business in. Currently, we are doing business in about just over 20 countries around the world. Okay, this is the journey of your data, where I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail about what we really do. This allows us to place the solutions in that journey. So first of all, we have the data creation and data in use. This is like the solution surrounding data classification itself, and again, which we will be going into a little bit more detail when Justine starts presenting. Moving on to data at rest, we have identity access management, who owns the data and who actually has access to that data. And then we move it into the data integration and data workflows. This is translation mapping and data management. And then finally we move into the data exchange, managed file transfer, how you can secure your data internally through emails and externally when it has actually left and into the wide world. So as you can see from this, we will secure your data at every stage of its journey. We will protect it, look after it, and ensure that the data is safe once it has actually left the network and it is out there and open to everybody. We will ensure that it is safe. Okay, finally I'm just going to run through some of the products and services we do offer here at Hand. We deal with some of the largest vendors in this industry and in a number of different solutions. We can offer consultancy services and vendor benchmarking. We will sit on the customer side of things and evaluate the market. So we will show you what solution and product is right for you. Once you have actually selected the product you want to use, we will also help design it, install it, and even give you further training into these products, as the technical team we have here are experts, and they understand all products and solutions we offer in great detail. So they can actually give you all the knowledge you need, and will ensure that you actually understand what products you are using. So you don't just have to rely on the support teams all the time. They will give you enough knowledge that you actually understand what products you are using and what solutions you have installed in your organization. But although we do actually offer 24/7 support, and this will be from both sides, you'll get support from us here at Hands, and you will also get support from Watchful software. Okay, and that really is Hands in a very quick overview. Here at Hands we do offer general overviews where our technical experts can do a proper demo for you to go into a little bit more detail. But just for today, we are going to be talking about data classification and Watchful software. I'm now going to pass you over to Justine. So I hope that you can see her screen. Justine?
Okay. Can you hear me? Is everyone okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Thanks, Justine.
Okay, super. Okay, perfect. And I hope you can all see my screen. So thank you everyone for joining this morning, and thank you to Elliot for handing over to me. My name's Justine Cross, and I work for Watchful Software. And one of the questions I normally ask when I start this presentation, when it's a two-way interaction, is typically, has anyone ever heard of Watchful Software on the call? And most of the time, the answer is no. And the reason being is that we're 18 months old, we're new, we're exciting, but we have one, we have one objective, and that objective why we created our company was to ensure organizations and companies can protect their greatest asset. And we believe that, along with people, is your information. So for us, the most amazing thing that happened last year, whether you believe it was good or bad, was the Edward Snowden affair. What happened with Edward Snowden is happening day in, day out in all different types of organizations. And what we mean by that is, if an organization like the NSA, who is allegedly very highly secure, can allow a contractor to come into their organization, download information that was marked confidential, walk it out the building on a memory stick, and email the Guardian newspaper, it really highlighted to us and the world that data loss and data leakage can happen to anyone. We see day in, day out. I'm based in Germany. I travel across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and every day I'm seeing new headlines in the newspapers where companies are exposed to data loss, and it's costing them lots of money or embarrassment. We've had Vodafone in Germany with 3 million records. We had a bank here in the UK recently where some of their data was exposed. An insurance company where the internal people were selling the database to competitive companies. Different government departments being sued for losing laptops or with confidential, unprotected information on. So really it is happening everywhere across every type of organization. So, excuse me, so we want to back that up, and we work with a company called Ponemon, and Ponemon is a famous institution for doing studies and interviewing CISOs. And the interesting feedback that came back from a recent study that they did is that 90% of people in charge of data protection within companies said that 90% of them said that we have lost some information in the last 12 months. Now, that's not always malicious. Not everybody's like Edward Snowden. Often it's negligence or accidental, and that's typically at a higher management level as well. Great example of that is people like myself. I have to deliver a business plan. I'm running late. I've got lots to do. I work from home, and guess what? I send an email that corporate information to the wrong person. That can be equally damaging as someone like Edward Snowden coming into your organization and stealing documents. But for me, the three main drivers in the way that we work or the way that data is being lost today are the following. And the first being the absolute growth of the demand for users to bring their own devices. People aren't doing that to be malicious. They want to be more productive for an organization. But if you don't have control of what's coming in or where your information can go, people, if you don't protect it, will really not know where their files have gone to. The second point is the fact that people are creating more and more confidential information in insecure manner. And what I mean by that is, I just prepared a business plan for my company in Excel and with a nice PowerPoint presentation. That's not really very secure. My mother, my parents, my children can read that type of information. Edward Snowden actually found a PowerPoint presentation that was written about PRISM. PRISM is the highly controversial spying program that the US government was doing all over the world, and it was simply on a 41-page PowerPoint. So people are generally producing more and more information insecurely. And the final point is the one that I think is the hardest for anyone to control, and that's the people themselves. Most people, including myself in the past, don't see data as an asset. If they leave a company, they'll hand back their PC, their phones, their cars, but to hand back data that they've worked on at home, it simply doesn't happen. People don't see it as an asset, and that's really something that we need to address. The types of risks that we're seeing day in, day out, and by the way, when we put this slide together, I was actually I felt quite guilty quite a few of these because I have done this, and if I do it, it will happen with most. I'm not up there with national state espionage, and I'm not an animal rights activist, but I have lost an unencrypted laptop. I have actually got my customer database from a previous employee. I've emailed my Gmail account so I could work on something from home. I've lost a USB stick. I sound very careless, but actually I'm not. It's a typical way that people work, and it's a typical response if you ask anybody to be open and honest about how they treat their corporate data. So what we're trying to say is that companies now need to recognize that data is an asset. It's a core asset to your organization. There is a debate whether your people are more important or the data, and it depends really on what kind of company you work within. This information is becoming targeted, and targeted not necessarily by security breaches or maliciousness. It's accidentally lost day in, day out by most people within the organization. More and more information is being produced, so it needs to be protected. And actually, whereas in the past maybe companies had trusted workers for long times, if you're in a competitive industry or a difficult industry or an industry that's going through change and there's redundancies, what once was a trusted worker can often be a non-trusted worker because they borrow information to help them be successful at their next employment. So why is it hard? Why has this all of a sudden become a leading topic in the press, and why are people feeling this data loss? And I think actually the way that we work as companies has dramatically changed over the last 5 years. In the past, as an IT director or an security officer, your responsibility would have been to protect the enterprise from the outsider threat. Protect the enterprise with firewalls, anti-spam, antivirus, anti-malware. Stop the intruder coming in from the outside. And by the way, that is still exceptionally important. But as we've changed the way that we work, what happens is every time an employee sends an email, walks out with an iPad or walks out with his laptop, they're simply punching a hole in the firewall, in the enterprise security. So as the way that the workforce has become far more mobile, it's far more important for us now to add another layer of security. And what we're saying is that, yes, keep your firewalls, anti-spam, antivirus, anti-malware, if the documents, the data is your asset, you also need to protect that. And to do that, you need to protect that at source as well. So no matter where it's emailed to or traveled to, you know that it's protected and can only be viewed by the people that you give permission to. So that brings us on to my technology. So my technology is called RightsWatch. RightsWatch is what's defined as data-centric security. What I showed you before is network-centric, protecting the network. What this is protecting the data. And what do we mean by that? Well, there's a few key points here. First of all, we lock the documentation at source. We control the document. Then we give employees different credential levels. Who can access what information and when? And therefore, the information can travel anywhere. So if you take me as an example, I've still got corporate information in my Dropbox, on my private devices, on my network. And whilst I have permission, I can view that document. The minute they change my credentials on Active Directory or I leave the company, even though I've got that information stored in a private area, I will no longer be able to view that information, because it's no longer relevant to me. So the point of it is that you control who sees what and control when they can no longer see it. So let me just touch on how we do that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the way that our organization organizes themselves, but you can organize this in the way that you define. It's about how your company policies are set up. So first of all, if you take the top one, what you really need to do up front is find your data and then define your information security policy. In our company, we have 4 levels. As a standard Watchful scope, we say information can be public, internal use, confidential, and secret. When I give you a demo, you'll see that I only have access up to confidential. I'm not a board member. I don't need to see top-level finances, so I only see what's relevant to me. And once you've defined your policy, you then assign each user with their credentials. What levels can each user see? You can have multiple groups, multiple levels, but the user will only see the ones that they're activated in. Within those groups as well, we can actually control what the user can do with that information. Anybody in our company with internal information can forward, copy, print, do whatever they want. It's private information, but it's not that confidential. As we move up to confidential level, if we give different people different access rights, and occasionally I do have secret information, I'm only ever allowed to consume it. And consume it, I mean by just being able to view it. We also, in our company, anything that is public is not encrypted. We can still watermark it, give it a digital fingerprint, say it's company property, this should not be forwarded, but it's not encrypted, so it can have free flowing. Once it gets to internal use, everything above that level is encrypted. So the benefit of that is then we can actually track and trace by user or by document who has accessed what, where and when, done what action from cradle to grave of that document's lifespan. So it gives us the power to see who has done what. And a great example of that, if there's 4 of us who have secret information and that document is found on the train, printed out, we can go in and say, hey, who accessed this information recently? And when was it printed? Who printed it? Who was the likely candidate to have left that on the train? And often, by the way, showing that you have policies in place, protection in place of the data is more than adequate to protect your company from vast fines for data loss and data leakage. So with this in mind right now, rather than carrying on with the slideware, I just wanted to show you a quick example of what I'm talking about. So I hope everybody can see my screen. Today I'm running my virtual box on my Mac machine, so it doesn't look as pretty as normal. Right, so what I wanted to show you was a couple of things. And one of the points that we really want to get across is, data classification has been out for a while, and people are classifying documents, and people are putting them into groups like public, internal, confidential, and secret. But 99% of the time when I talk to companies, not only have they done that, which is great, but unfortunately it's not being used correctly. Users really don't get what they're supposed to do. Even with some training, perhaps the technology is too complex, or it's just too difficult, or I have to come out of the program that I'm in to do it. So therefore I end up with two problems. Either data that's not classified or data that's wrongly classified. So when Watchful launched the RightsWatch product, what we did was we analyzed the market, we listened to some feedback from customers, and their main concern was, actually, you need to make this easy for the user, and you need to take decisions away from the user as much as possible so it classifies it for them without them having to do too much. So with that in mind, this is where we come to our client. So as I create a new email in Exchange, you'll see that we have a little plugin. And the plugin is Scopes and Levels. And by the way, this would look exactly the same if I was using Microsoft Word, PDFs, Excel, PowerPoints, and other document types. So first of all, we have a level called Scopes, and that's the groups. And then underneath those scopes, we have levels. At Watchful, we have maybe 20 different scopes, but I'm only privileged to see 3 of them. So that's what I see. We default to our Watchful. Watchful is our generic classification. And then I have 3 levels within that group. Underneath here, we try to teach the user all the time, what does it mean? What does public mean? Well, for us, it means that information can freely circulate outside of our organization. What type of information? Well, it could be marketing material or information not relevant to the business. However, as we progress within our company and we want to start classifying stuff, we've set some back-end policies that are automatically applied when I create emails and Microsoft documents. One of the things that we do and say is that if I'm sending an email to an internal colleague, we would like that encrypted. And the reason being, I do use my private devices, and when I leave, they perhaps don't want me to ever read that information again, because it's not my information, it belongs to the company. So you'll notice that as I put my colleague Rui's name into the document, into the email, things changed. It moved up. This moved this level up to internal. It changed the description. What does it mean now? Well, it could be harmful now. It added a stamp, so if anyone is running a DLP system, this can be picked up to enhance that system. And to make it really obvious, it put a nice bright green border around my email body. And then, okay, so that's one thing. It picks up a classification, an automatic classification rule. But we can also do things like keywords and patterns, and it can look for information that you want protected. So as I write Watchful confidential documents, you'll see things have changed again on the fly without the user having to do anything. First of all, the level changed to confidential. The information below now started to say this is confidential. This could cause us damage. We don't, even if it was sent to internal people. You'll notice that it's telling the user here an automatic classification rule was applied, and around the outside of the box is a nice bright red border, so the user can visually see what's going on. We have 3 choices here. Now, depending on country, there are certain rules within organizations and countries that say you can't restrict the user too much, or you can restrict the user. So in our company, at my level, I actually have the right to override that classification policy. But if I do, I have to sign a digital disclaimer to say that I know what I'm doing, and that's then reported in a log to say, hey, look, Justine is overriding our policies. You could be that you enforce that policy no matter what. There is no change. Or the final option is to say, do you know what? This is a recommendation. It's not enforced in any way, and you do have the freedom to change it to the level that you desire. The whole point is we're educating the user, we're trying to make it easy, and we're trying to protect your data at the same time. I'm just going to quickly show you now a Word document. I create a normal Word document. I'm going to put some gobbledygooch in here. And what I'm going to do as I go to save this document, you will notice that I cannot save this until it's classified. Let's put demo here so I can find it. It didn't pick up any keywords or patterns. So if it had, it would have auto-classified it for me. It's gobbledygooch because it's a formula, so I'm going to save this as Watchful Confidential. I can now save it. By the way, it's telling me what this means. Same information as on my email client. And as I save it, you'll see something happen. So it's now watermarked. It's watermarked. That can be any color, any size, any location, header, footer. We happen to have it in the middle, and that watermark will stay with this document for its lifespan. I can also view my permissions as a user. What can I do with this document? Well, in confidential level, I can do everything. But it could be, as I said before, that I could only view it when I get secret information. The other thing that we do is, in its properties, is we give it a nice stamp. The rights watch mark, it's called, down here. Oops, I'm not very good with this. Here we go. The rights watch mark, that is a metadata that goes on and on and on, allows us to track, trace, see who's done what, where, and when, allows you to blacklist a document or time bomb a document, so you can fully control who has done what with that information. So that's as easy as it is to classify a Word document. It would be exactly the same for a PDF or an Excel or a PowerPoint. I'm going to save that document here. I'm just going to do one more thing. So I'm just going to take this out of here so we don't need to comply. I'm sending this to my colleague Rui, and I'm going to send it to Elliot. Oops. No, not. I'm going to send it to myself on my private address. In our company, if it picks up internal and external people, it defaults to public. You could have that defaulting to internal, and someone has to override it. Again, it's set up exactly how you want to do it. So I'm going to put test in here, and I'm going to go and find that document, and I'm going to insert demo. Now what you'll notice, I have a heap of documents here. A lot of them have got these little red keys, locks and keys on them, and that's showing the user again that, hey, this document is protected for our company, think about what you're doing. But if I attach this document and then I try to send it, it really doesn't matter, to be honest, because actually unless I have permission to read it, I can send it to anybody, because if they don't have permission to read it, they can't read it. The first thing it will do is stop me sending it because the document has a higher confidentiality level than the email. But actually, as I said, it doesn't really matter. If I did send it out, oops, maybe that's not working right now. If I did send it out, the people on that email, if they didn't have confidential information, couldn't see it. So let's just flip back to my presentation, and let's go back to slideshow. Oops, 1 second while I flip through. And that sounds great if we're just using Microsoft Documents, but you know in the real world that there's more to life than just Microsoft. So the good thing for us is that we can actually support all document types: PDFs, CAD files, video images, JPEGs. It doesn't really matter the document type or source. We can protect it to the way that your company works. We work with Exchange, we work with Outlook Web Access, and in the next release we'll also work with Outlook for Mac. But workers, again, don't just work in an office, they're mobile, so we have support for iOS, for Android, Windows Phone, Blackberries, so you can actually work as a user in the same way that you work today. There's no need to change your environment or your setup. And the power of our solution is that we make this simple for the user, and therefore classification will work. So that is us in a nutshell, an introduction to Watchful and how we and our technology. And if anybody now has any questions, please just drop me a chat note or a question note, and I'll be pleased to answer any questions. Elliot, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I don't think I do. We haven't had any chats or questions throughout the presentation I've been keeping track of, so we'll leave it sort of a little while and see if anybody pops up with a question, but if not, that'll be it.
If not, okay, I'm available. I can, oops, let me just pop them in here. I am available for any questions offline, or if you want another more in-depth demonstration of how it works and understanding more, technical, what do you require at the back end, then I'll be very happy to discuss that with anybody who's on the call.
Just to let everybody know as well, we are going to have a follow-up after, I think it's next week. We're going to try and call everybody, so if there is any further questions or you think of any in the meantime, our technical experts that will be on the call will be more than happy to answer any questions or book anything further for you.
Okay, well, without any questions, I think that's a wrap. So thank you very much for everybody's time. Elliot, thank you for hosting it, and have a great day. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Justine, and
Bye.
thank you everybody for attending.